But I thought I would do a live cook along today. It's all about Brownie week at Studio Kitchen at the moment. And you are in Studio Kitchen right now, live from Melbourne. So this is super exciting. And I thought, because this week's newsletter was all about how much we love brownies, that we would do a cook along today and something simple just to show you how to make this cherry infused brownie that we've been doing. I've also done a video. So at the end of this, we're going to try and add this to Substack. But if we mess it up, we've got video on YouTube as well. So it's all good. You're definitely going to get this content somewhere. But this is so exciting. I don't know, Suzanne or anyone else who's watching, if you can interact with us. This is literally like a bit of a practice, but we've co-hosted with, I can't read that.
Oh, Darren Robertson's on.
All right, that's on. We co-hosted with Studio Kitchen because we thought we would try and work out how this thing works. Darren Robertson's an amazing chef. And he did a live a couple of weeks ago. And I said to Kath, we got to do that. Darren's doing one. So basically everything Darren does, I do. We're just a couple of weeks later. So we're going to make a Black Forest brownie today. So the first thing we're going to do is move this one out of the way. Here's one I made earlier. We wanted to get this done for you so that I could show you how to finish this at the end, but we're also going to make this at the same time. Hopefully you've got all of your ingredients in front of you. But if not, just sit back and watch. And the recipe is on Studio Kitchen and also on my Substack. Okay, got some cherries here. These are cherries that we've had left over from Christmas or from the summer. We preserve those in a little bit of alcohol. You could use tin cherries. You could use fresh cherries. Obviously, they're not in season at the moment. You could use frozen cherries defrosted. Whatever you use, make sure there's a little bit of juice. Because that's going to help with the sauciness. And this is going to be a cherry compote to go on top of our brownie. I've already weighed off all of my ingredients here. So this is going to go into my pan. And it's showing. I'll try and work tidy. Being a pastry chef, I'll try and work tidy. Cherries in the pan. I've got some caster sugar. That's just going to go inside there. And I've got some kirsch. This is really traditional when we're talking about Black Forest. This is a great flavour. It's a cherry liqueur. You could use other cherry liqueurs, or if you're not into alcohol, you could use something else like sugar syrup or a flavoured syrup, or even just water. We're going to add this inside and we're going to turn it on. I'll try and work upside down, so it's going to be a bit tricky for me here. There we go. We'll turn it onto a medium heat. We'll keep an eye on that. And we're going to need to thicken our cherries. So what we're going to do is cook these down. And as we apply heat, we're going to soften that fruit and we're going to kind of break down that fruit. We want not whole cherries, but we want sort of chunky bits of cherry that's going to add a really great pop of flavor into our brownie. So we're going to cook these down, soften them, and then we're going to thicken that liquid with a slurry of corn flour and a little bit more cherry juice. So I've got some more cherry juice there. It's a cold liquid. Pour that into a little bump and then add our corn flour. Now, if anyone's got any questions, I don't know how this works. I don't know if you type them out or whatever, but Kath has co-hosted a Studio Kitchen. She's sitting behind the camera and we're more than happy to answer any question about anything, really. Well, food related would be handy.
Say hi to Virginia.
Hi, Virginia. We've got another one on. Awesome. We might make this a regular. This is quite fun.
And Pam and Chris.
And Pam and Chris. We did lots of classes here through COVID, and then we did lots and lots, didn't we? And then we haven't really done lots of live classes for a while now. So this is nice to be back and seeing people face to face or screen to screen. Just keeping those cherries on the pan there. We're going to bring them to the boil. We're not going to go deep inside the pan, but I'll tell you what's happening. Basically, we've got that liquid, we've got the cherries, and they're just going to come to a simmer. I'll turn them down if it boils too rapidly. We're going to cook them for a couple of minutes. Then we're going to add our corn flour and our cherry liquid into that. And it's going to thicken that right away. And this is going to be a compote used on top of our brownie once we've made it to ripple through and give those real bursts of flavour on top of our brownie. We'll keep an eye on that. We're going to move on, unfortunately, to a noisy part next. So I want to get this bit out of the way. We're going to start to make our brownie batter. So inside, I've got a stand mixer here, and we need to melt some butter. So I've got a little saucepan, and I've got some butter here. You could use the microwave. I was going to do this beforehand, but then I thought, oh, this is a cook along. So if you're cooking along with me, you need to do it in real time. So we will do this together. I'm going to put the butter in the saucepan.
How much sugar went into the cherry syrup?
There was 50 grams of caster sugar went into that cherry syrup. I think there was about 300 grams of cherries, and there was about 40 grams of Kirsch. And then we had 10 grams of corn flour and 40 grams of cherry juice. And that's going to thicken up the cherries. This recipe is on my Substack in full. It's also on Studio Kitchen Substack, and it's also on studiokitchen.com.au. We've uploaded it, and I even did a video, so we popped it up on YouTube just in case this didn't work today. So the recipe is out there, but please ask away while I'm working with this. I'll just melt this butter and get it on the back of the stove there. Cherries are simmering away nicely. I'm going to give them a couple of minutes. And we're going to talk about this batter. So really simple brownie batter. Cook this one still actually quite hot underneath. Hopefully it will turn out later. It's got like that distinctive crust on top, which we all love about brownies. It's also really fudgy in the middle. Now, you get the crust on top by whisking your eggs for a prolonged period of time. So we're going to give these a really good whisk today. It will make a little bit of noise, but that's what helps give it that crust.
But it's worth it.
It is worth it. And also, this recipe is quite flexible in terms of how fudgy you want your brownie. Now, we've taken it to the limits of fudginess this week. And the lowest cooking time you can go is 35 minutes for this recipe that we're making here today. Obviously, if you're making a bigger recipe, it might take longer. But if you're making this quantity, 35 minutes in this size pan, which is 23 centimetre by 23 centimetre square, is about the smallest amount of cooking time, because inside it's super, super, super fudgy. Now, we're going to cook ours for 40 minutes today, and you could even cook yours for 45 minutes or even up to 50 minutes. Depends on how wet or how fudgy you want it inside. It's up to you. So there's a little bit of flexibility with this recipe. This one was cooked for 40 minutes, so it's going to be super fudgy inside, really nice. That one we did for 35 minutes this week was...
You got some behind you?
Yeah, we have. Which one was it, Cash?
Yeah.
It's been in the fridge. I don't know if you can see it, but it's super fudgy. It is almost raw when we took it out. But of course, because there's butter in there and there's chocolate in there, when you cool it down, it's going to set in the fridge. So even though it's a little bit raw on the inside,
it's amazing.
It tastes amazing. And you will get that set once it's cooled down properly. But we'll come back to that in a sec. Just going to wash my hands. All right. Butter is nearly melted. Now, with this butter, I do suggest you melt it ahead of time and then leave it to cool down. But because we're kind of doing this live, we're going to wing it a little bit. So I'm going to kind of half melt the butter and use the unmelted butter there to help me cool this down quickly. And I'm going to put it into this bowl. I'll just move it off so you can see.
Say hi to Marin.
Hey?
Marin. And to Craig.
Hello, Craig. Thanks for joining us, guys. This is so exciting. Awesome. All right, melted butter goes into our bowl. And they've got a combination of sugars today. So we've got a caster sugar and it was going to be soft brown sugar until about 10 minutes ago when I was weighing it off and I said, Catherine, we're going to need soft brown sugar. But we found some brown sugar, dark brown sugar. So we're going to use that instead. This will have a more of a molasses flavour to it. But
it's going to be the best one yet.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the best one yet. Now, the darker sugars have got more moisture, so it contributes to a more chewy centre. And we do this with our cookies as well. Do a combination of caster sugar and brown sugar. The caster sugar promotes a crunchy exterior, and the brown sugar promotes a kind of chewy interior. So we get the best of both worlds with our cookies. And all of those cookies are on Studio Kitchen as well. So we want you, after this class, if you're not signed up to Studio Kitchen, jump on Studio Kitchen and get yourself a free profile. All recipes are free. And the Substack is free as well. And we're just, Kath and I, basically just making stuff we love and popping and taking pictures and popping the recipes up for you to try at home.
Kangaroo tacos next week.
Well, we met with Kath, made some kangaroo tacos last night for our dinner as a little practice. And they were delicious. So that's coming soon. We popped up a cauliflower cheese this week, didn't we?
Yeah.
Let's talk about this in a second. I want to get this on. So
Okay.
I've got melted butter in the bowl. Going to add my brown sugar and add the caster sugar into the bowl. This is going to be a bit noisy, so we'll get it out of the way. We've also got some salt here. Pop it on. I've got a whisk attachment, which is just falling in. And we're going to pop it onto medium to high speed. And sorry about the noise. Well, we'll get that done. It's done. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, cherries have been cooking. We grab a mace or a spatula. And I'm just going to kind of...
Can you show it? Yeah, tip it a bit more. We can't see that.
Can't really see it.
Yeah, I'll come over.
We're freestyling now. Haven't really done much, but it has softened now. And I'm just going to use the end of a spatula or a mace just to kind of break them down a little bit. They break them down quite easily. Like we say, we want a combination of whole cherries, 3/4 cherries, half cherries, a bit of cherry puree. We want a bit of a mix in there so we get a contrast in texture when we ripple it on top with our brownie. All right, very good. So I'm quite happy with that. It's been cooking for a couple of minutes now. And I've broken down some of that fruit. We use kind of a stiff spatula to do that. You could even use one of those. You remember my mum used to have a potato masher on the drawer. The drawer would never shut. The potato masher was always...
I thought you were going to say wooden spoon.
Mum had a wooden spoon, yeah. All right, we're just breaking down some of that fruit. Now, our cauliflower and our cherry juice. I guess if you didn't have cherries or you couldn't find cherries, you could make this with raspberry.
Yeah.
Raspberry brownies, classic. Everyone loves that. We're going to add that inside. We can always add this slurry when your liquid is boiling. And then give it a stir really quickly, just so that it doesn't kind of thicken up and catch on the bottom of the pan. Thank you. So I'm just stirring in that cauliflower, just thickening this up.
It's beautiful. It makes like a beautiful kind of jelly, doesn't it?
Shiny, viscous. I reckon you could use it in cherry pie. It'd be absolutely delicious. And I don't know if we can... I'll bring it around.
Yeah, bring it over.
Yeah, if you can.
I'll tilt in. Yes, you go back up. Yeah.
That's gone super thick now. Absolutely delicious. Big bits of cherry in there. A couple of whole ones. And what you want to do is you cook that out probably for about a minute.
Michelle's on. Say hi.
Hey, Michelle.
Pam said yum.
Awesome.
You're right, Pam. You're so right.
It is yum. I've got a little bowl here. Just going to give that about a minute just to make sure I can cook out the corn flour. I don't want that kind of powdery texture on my tongue. And then once I've done that, I'm going to pour it into this bowl here, and we're just going to leave it to cool down at room temperature before we finish our brownie batter.
Julia's joined. Hi, Julia.
Hi, everyone. This is awesome. I've got my coffee today, Saturday morning. Always wondering what we're going to cook today. We still haven't worked out what we're going to cook for dinner, but we know tomorrow we're going to do something with rabbit, which is going to be so exciting. But everything we're practicing will find its way on Studio Kitchen. And a lot of stuff you see on Studio Kitchen is what we had for dinner last night. So it's super fun. And we love building this recipe platform and the community of people who love food. The Kitchen Extra was just a little bit extra to Studio Kitchen. I wanted to start my own stuff back and wanted to be my own man.
Can I ask a question for Craig? Craig's asking, he's only got electric hand beaters. Do you think you'll need to whip it for longer?
This.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing this, you can do this by hand, right? It's just going to take you ages. It's going to take you a lot longer because obviously that's going quite far. If you use hand beaters, you can absolutely use those as well. Just probably a little bit longer than it would do using a stand mixer. When I do these classes, I try not to use stand mixer too much because it does make a bit of a noise. But I knew that I wanted to whip this up. I'm also trying to take some of the temperature of that butter out. Normally, I would melt the butter, leave it cool down on the bench for half an hour, and it's nice and cool, but still liquid. But because we're just melting that there, I'm just using this stand mixer to cool down at the same time as beating it. But it was pretty cool to me now. So we're going to start adding the rest of the ingredients. But before that, we're just going to add cherry compote. Look at that. So good. Yeah, check this one out. Yeah. You can...
I'll come in.
Look at that. Oh, good. Super shiny. It's going to go nice and thick. Right. Onto our brownie batter. Let's see if we can knock this over quickly. We've got 4 eggs. So about 220 grams of eggs, about 55 grams per egg. So 60 grams of egg, 5 grams of shell, 20 grams of yolk, and then 35 grams of the egg white. So I've got large eggs here. I usually weigh off my eggs for lots of recipes so that you know exactly how much you need to put in because obviously eggs differ in size. I'm going to crack these first into this little dish just to make sure that they're good eggs before adding into there. If I crack them straight into there, if I get shell in there or one of the eggs is not so great, then the whole mix is kind of ruined. Crack them into here first. And awesome. Where do you get these eggs? You go down to farmer's market. We've been farmer's market.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah. We couldn't go today because we were doing this. We're going to go next week. Beautiful. All right. Now we're going to add our eggs one at a time. We're going to whisk for about 45 seconds to a minute in between the addition of each egg. There we go. One goes in. It's always such a relief when we turn this on. Other brownies we've made this week. We made this super fudgy again.
Coming in.
Nutty brownie. So this one had hazelnuts, pistachios, and almonds. It's got that crusty top, super fudgy in the middle. So good. We had friend brownies on Studio Kitchen this week.
So anyone that we're meeting on Monday, guess what? You're having brownie.
Oh yeah, we've got a meeting Monday. Yes, yeah. We're going to bring brownies. Because we can't eat it all, obviously. Although we do try. All right. Whenever you're using this sort of machinery and you're mixing something up, I usually stop it halfway.
Say hi to Steph. She just joined.
Right, Steph. Good to see you. Happy weekend. We're having a great time here. You haven't missed much. And I think on Substack you can watch it again later. It was it's Darren Robertson still on.
I don't know. But Virginia Gortwood made your cherries earlier in the year.
Oh, really?
And she's using those.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, good work, Virginia. Same. We used to preserve cherries that we got at Christmas. And yeah, we've had them in jars in the fridge. Still got more here, actually. It's good. So you could use those. You could also use Morello cherries in a tin or a jar, or if you get frozen cherries as well and then defrost them in the fridge overnight, you're going to capture all of that liquid underneath when the fruit defrosts. And also, it helps break down that fruit as well when you're cooking it in the pan. So lots of different ways of doing it. Just scrape down my bowl. We're going to get it back on, and it won't be long. We're going to add the rest of our eggs one at a time. All right, cool. We're good, aren't we?
Yep.
Cherry plum pot underway. I'll move it around the bench so it cools down. Fill my stove on. Oven is preheated to 100, and I'm making this up now. 180 degrees. I'm going to cook this at 175, but I like to set my oven 5 degrees higher when I open it and I put it in. And sometimes I'm taking pictures as well.
Sometimes you forget to turn the oven down.
No, then you turn the oven down. Then, thank you. Oh, God. Last thing is going in.
Craig was just asking about the temperature of the oven, but you've answered.
Yeah,
that's good.
180. And then when we put the brownie in, we will reduce that to 175. We're going to bake it for 40 minutes. All right, don't need that. While that's just finishing off, I'll show you how to line it in. Now, we've got a 23 centimetre square tin, fat and old thing. We've used it like for a million years. Still works great. You could use different size tin, but try and keep the same volumetric capacity so that you've got your brownie nice and thick. So this could be rectangle, but slightly thinner. It's entirely up to you. You did have one, didn't we?
Yeah, it's in the cupboard.
I don't know where it is. That one. What does that come?
No.
Anyway, 23 centimetre by 23 centimetre approximately. It's going to give you a really nice high brownie. You want that because you want the fudge on the inside. The thicker you cook, the thinner you cook this, the less fudgy interior you're going to get.
And you use like a thin brownie quite a lot of times for the bottom of cakes and mousses and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to make this as a thinner one, you could spread this out into a standard baking tray and you would have a thinner brownie, and you could then cut out a biscuit and layer that up and use that for a cake. So you could do all sorts of this. But we're using this as a brownie. You want
ice cream sandwich.
that crunchy exterior, you want that fudgy interior. Got some canola spray. And we're just going to go inside our tray there. And then I've got a piece of paper, which is slightly bigger than our tin. And then just going to cut little incisions in the corner. There we go. And that's going to help us push this in to our tin. Look at that. Nice and neat, super. And if you wanted to cut off any excess paper, you can, but not really an issue there. Looks very good to me. So that's our tin ready. Oven preheated. Eggs are in. We'll turn this off. And we don't have to shout anymore. Now we can just chill out and enjoy our weekend. Because the easy part is now.
Give us a look at that mix. Come over. Full of air for a nice crackly.
That's nice. Nice and thick. It's gone pale. The sugar has dissolved. This is a little bit darker than the ones we've been making this week because of the dark brown sugar we've used today, so light brown sugar. But that's kind of what you're looking for. And you could leave that on there even longer. The longer you leave it on there, the more it's going to contribute to that crusty exterior that we all love on brownies. Now it's time to finish our batter. Move that to one side. I've got here cocoa powder, and I've already pre-sieved it. Make sure you give it a sieve because cocoa powder often has lumps that are really hard to get rid of once you put them into your mix. So I sieved this onto a bit of baking paper and then put it into my bowl all weighed off, and that's going to go inside. And then again with plain flour, slightly less quantity. I've already sieved that. That's going to go in there as well. Amazing. And we're just going to fold it in by hand, doing it nice and slowly so the cocoa powder doesn't go everywhere. Cass doing some fancy camera work at the moment. So you can see inside live from Melbourne, Australia. Daz are making Black Forest brownie. It gets no better than that on the weekend, I can tell you. That's almost in there. Just make sure you go right underneath and pull it up because as you can see, there's still some streaks, but it's thickening up now. They're giving you a bit of a workout. This is going to be absolutely amazing. Right. We're going to add some pockets of chocolate in there. So I'm going to grab a block of chocolate. Has to pull it away. 100 grams of chocolate here. We're going to chop it up. Actually, we're going to keep a little bit of that for finishing our brownie at the end. So about 85 grams, 80 grams, can't remember what the recipe is, read the recipe, but not quite a block of chocolate. You're just going to give this chocolate a rough chop. You could use buttons if you like. But I've got the block here. So just giving it a rough chop. And then we're going to add that into the batter. And as it cooks, you're going to get chocolate kind of.
The shards feel better than buttons, don't they?
Yes,
like
they're irregular shape as well.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So you get different mouth feels all the time. That's going to go inside. Such a cool little recipe to be making on the weekend. And, you know, we're going to cut this into 16 portions, but it's so super rich and fudgy. You could probably.
We're going to have 8 each. Is that right? Cut into 16.
A bit of that's going to slow you down. Okay, let's give it a fold. There you go. Just folding that chocolate in. And as that cooks and melts, you're going to get these pockets of chocolate inside. And also, when it cools down, you're going to get that chocolate solidifying. And then when you bite through it, you're going to get fudgy brownie and then a bit of chocolate.
It's wild. Oops, sorry about the camera there, everyone.
All right. Going to pop this batter now into our tin. You know that.
Say hi to Tanya. She's just here in time for the pouring in.
Hi, Tanya. Happy Saturday. Welcome to Black Forest brownie.
Marin's asking if she could use gluten-free flour instead.
Yeah, do you know what, Marin? I don't know because I haven't tried it, but there's minimal flour in this. And, you know, brownie's a brownie. It kind of goes fudgy in the middle. You're not looking for flour to do anything other than thicken this batter. So I think you could use rice flour. I would maybe not do the same quantity of rice flour as flour because you can get a bit of texture of rice flour. Or I don't know much about gluten-free flour, but I would switch it over and see what happens. And there's more cocoa powder in here than there is plain flour. In fact, plain flour is quite a small quantity, so I wouldn't see that there's a problem for substituting there. But you'd have to give it a go. Maybe you should give it a go and let us know. Pop it on the chat, and then we can all find out at the same time. That'd be amazing. Got a little palette knife, and I'm just spreading this flat. There you go. Awesome. And what I want to do now is just get my tea towel. Now I've got my nice tea towel, so I don't want to.
You can get it dirty.
No, I'm not going to get dirty. I'm just going to put that on there. We're going to give it a bit of a tap, just to make sure there's no air pockets inside. It's going to cook nice and evenly. Put that to one side. Now we're almost there. How easy is this? How cool is this? The last thing we're going to do with this brownie is, where's my compote? I'll put it over it. Now it's still a little bit warm, but we're going to do it anyway. We're going to add spoons of that cherry on top of our brownie. Check this out. Oh my God, that's so good. Look at that massive cherry there. That's going to be an amazing pocket of flavour. That's going to go in. Look at that. And just dotting it on top. Now I'm keeping some of this compote. Got some here. This is the one I did earlier when I made that one. So I kept some of this, and it's nice and cool now. We're going to use that to finish our brownie at the end with a little bit of a flourish. Using our spoon, we're just going to gently ripple that. You could use a palette knife and just swirling that in there. You want some of that texture on top because that'll catch. You'll get little bits of sort of more cooked brownie than others. Look at that. Just spoon a little bit more on top. Insane. Now that goes in the oven. That's going to be so good. We're going to give that 40 minutes.
Sorry about the bumpy camera, everyone.
Yeah, we're gonna work on it. Maybe we could do more of these, do them regularly. Now we're not. They're not as scary as we thought they might be. So 40 minutes, in we go. When that comes out, it's going to come out looking like that. It's going to have
come back down again,
kind of crispy bits on top, and then pockets of fruit. It's going to be, if you push it there, soft and chewy in the middle, but you have got that crusty exterior. That's exactly what it's going to look like. This came out of the oven probably half an hour ago. I probably should have cooked it a little bit earlier.
You can use a bit behind you.
Yeah, I'm going to use one behind, but I'm just going to see if I can pull that one out for everyone.
Oh, it looks good.
There you go. And that'll cool down quicker. And obviously pulling the paper out. If you're going to cut that, you cut it in half and then in half again, then in half again. So you're doing 3 cuts there. You twist it around, you do it in half, in half, in half, and it gives you 4 by 4 by 4 by 4, 16 portions. But you could cut that any way you want, really. It's up to you. But I'm going to use some of this behind it just to finish off and show you what we do, just to elevate this into
the plate,
a bit more of a Black Forest brownie. So we've got this at the back. This is the brownie we cooked. When did we cook one?
Oh, we've been baking them every day.
We're making them every day. We need to have little containers from like Monday's brownie, Tuesday's brownie. But there you go. It lasts for ages if you don't eat it, of course. We get a couple of bits of brownie on the plate there. Oh. Now, in the fridge, I whisked up some cream just before the nuts. Thickened cream. And you just want nice firm thicks. Look at that. Beautiful.
Say hi to Jo. She got here just in time.
Hey, Joe, you got it just for the best then. All right, so the whipped cream. And then your leftover cherry compa. I won't use that one because it's still a little bit warm. I use that one I did just before the class started. You're going to add that into the cream. And then just use your spoon to ripple it. Look at that. Looks awesome. Okay. And then spoon some of that onto the brownie. Once you cut the brownie, you can spoon some of that cream on top. Oh my God, so good. I want that little bit of ripple there. Look at that. Wow. And let's grab another cherry, fresh or preserved or whatever you want. Little teaspoon. Look at that. Now this, you could serve this at an afternoon tea, but I reckon you could serve this at a dinner party. It looks pretty flash as is.
Jo's going to cook this afternoon.
Oh, well done, Jo. Now I'm going to finish that with a bit of chocolate. You could put chopped chocolate on top, but we kept some of that chocolate from the block just now, and we just grate it on top because why not?
Honestly, Jo, when you're sitting down eating this tonight, you're going to love us.
Yeah,
It's so good.
you know, hopefully, going to clean that up. And how did we finish this, Kath? We had some rosemary, didn't we?
We did.
But I don't know if we've got any rosemary. Our rosemary's looking a bit sad out there, but I'm going to go and get some. So Kath will keep you talking. Where's we?
So Daz has put a full video of this recipe up on YouTube. I've also put the recipe link in the chat, and there's a step-by-step recipe with photographs, and there's also a live video lesson on studiokitchen.com.au. So just look around. All the information you need is everywhere. And it's really easy to do, and it's so worth it. And it's perfect for this time of year.
It is perfect this time.
Are you going to give us some snow?
Yeah, we're going to put it in some sugar on top. What's that soon?
You're going straight to the Black Forest. Yeah, I'll get it for you.
All right. So we've got a little bit of rosemary here just because it looks a little bit festive, a little bit foresty. So good. And then we'll dust it with a little bit of icing sugar for some. Amazing. That is our Black Forest brownie. Super easy because we literally just made it with you guys here. The hardest part is just
Not
waiting
it.
for it to cool down before you dig in. But yeah, really happy with that. Hopefully you get to make it. And happy with this Instagram live. Substack live. And like I said, all of that information is out there somewhere. We'll try and make sure you get that. But we'd love it if you give it a go. And if you get on the chat, either on Studio Kitchen or on Darren Purchase, and just let us know how you go or take a picture. We love to see that as well. If you're in Melbourne or if you're in Australia and you want to do a class with me live, I've got some classes coming up in association with SMEG. So I've got 2 classes in July, 2 in October. All the information is on studiokitchen.com.au/events. And yeah, we really appreciate the support. We love this community that we're building. We love all of you out there. And we're going to bring you lots more delicious content.
And Tanya, send our love to Albert.
Oh, hello. Hi, Tanya. Yeah, cool. Thanks to everyone. Hopefully that was actually quite a good time. I wasn't sure how far over.
Craig said it's taken all that time to boil 2 tins of cherries. So, sorry, Craig.
Oh, really? You doing 2 tins? All right. Okay. Good luck, Craig. But as you can see, it can be done in the time. We've got one in there. Maybe if anyone's on Instagram, we'll pop this on our stories later. Or does Substack do stories? we're still working it out, but it's fun. But we're going to keep continuing making some awesome stuff for you.
Have a lovely weekend.
Have a great weekend and enjoy. Have fun.
Here, I'll come close.